The porch light flickered like it always did, a hesitant glow against the crisp autumn evening in suburban Virginia. I pulled into the driveway of my childhood home, the gravel crunching under my tires like old bones protesting. It had been years since I'd driven this route, but nothing had changed. The same manicured lawn, the same faded American flag fluttering from the pole. Stepping out, I smoothed my civilian blouse, hiding the dog tags beneath. The air smelled of falling leaves and distant wood smoke, a reminder of all the Thanksgivings I'd missed while deployed. Inside, the house wrapped around me like a familiar straitjacket, polished oak floors, lemon-scented cleaner masking the stale undercurrent of unspoken resentments. The hallway photos were a timeline of selective memory, baby pics of my brother Gavin, his high school football trophies, family ski trips to Aspen. Not a single shot of me in fatigues, not even from basic training graduation. I'd been edited out, airbrushed from the family narrative. My father, Alexander, paced the living room, barking into his Bluetooth about quarterly targets at Apex Tech, the defense contractor where he clawed his way to VP. Gavin lounged by the fireplace, scotch in hand, pontificating on some TED Talk about disruptive innovation. My mother, Victoria, emerged from the kitchen, her smile as brittle as fine china. "Look who made it," she said, air-kissing my cheek without real contact. No hug, no questions about my flight from DC. Her eyes started to Gavin. "Come on. We're about to start the slideshow for your brother's promotion. He just hit director level. Impressive." Huh? I forced a nod, slipping into the dining room where candles flickered on starched linens and place settings gleamed. My name wasn't on any card. I took the end seat, half-shadowed by the sideboard, invisible as always. Dinner unfolded like a well-rehearsed play, with Gavin as the star. Every story circled back to him, his latest deal, his corner office, his genius pivot during a merger. I picked at my roast, listening to the laughter orbit him like planets around a sun. Victoria leaned in midway through. "Sorry about the invite mix-up. Figured you were swamped with whatever it is you do these days." I didn't correct her. I'd emailed weeks ago. Got a curt okay in reply. Then Alexander stood, glass raised. To Gavin, he boomed, "For climbing the ladder on grit. Not handouts." Claps echoed. He paused, eyes sliding my way without landing. "Some folks just ride coattails, freeloading off the system till it catches up." The table froze, then erupted in awkward chuckles. Forks hovered. Someone coughed into a napkin. He didn't name me, but the noose tightened anyway. My spine went rigid, fingers gripping the butter knife. Inside, something fractured, not with a bang, but a quiet snap, like ice cracking underfoot. This wasn't fresh pain, it was chronic. A dull ache from years of being sidelined. Forgotten birthdays, skipped promotion ceremonies. The way they'd whisper wasted potential when I enlisted after college instead of joining Apex like Gavin. Could have been in sales, they'd say. Or at least something corporate. I stared at my plate, gravy pooling like blood, and whispered to myself, "Not tonight." After pie, I excused myself to the hallway, pulling out my secure phone. Tomorrow's briefing agenda glowed on the screen. Classified review for Apex's new cyber defense contract. My name in bold, Colonel Emily Hart, lead advisor, U.S. Army Cyber Command. They had no clue. I pocketed the device, glancing at a family photo where my teenage self had been cropped out years ago. "Let's see who freeloads tomorrow," I murmured, the words tasting like steel. The slideshow clicked on with that nostalgic whir. Gavin narrating like a TED speaker on steroids. Slides flashed, his college diploma from Georgetown, handshakes with execs, team building retreats in the Rockies, Background music swelled like a corporate ad. I leaned back, arms crossed. As slide 8 hit, a group photo from his first startup pitch at Apex. I remembered it vividly. I'd been there. Marker in hand, sketching the initial framework. I'd even seeded it with my own savings from early deployments, funneled through a discreet account to avoid questions. But in this version, I was gone, cropped clean, leaving only the ghost of my sleeve in the frame. Victoria clapped like it was Oscar night. I sipped water, throat tight. Then the toasts ramped up. Victoria raised her glass. To Laura for pulling this all together, the catering, the decor. You're a gem. Murmurs of agreement rippled. Laura, Gavin's wife, glanced my way briefly, eyes apologetic but silent. Weeks earlier, Victoria had texted me about being short on funds for Gavin's new SUV and this dinner. I'd wired $2,000 through Laura's Venmo. No strings, just family. I lifted my glass too. To Laura, I echoed, voice even. Gavin stood again, loving the spotlight. Like I tell my team, ideas are cheap, it's execution that counts. No one cares who brainstormed, they remember who closed. Snickers followed, eyes flicking my way like darts. I wanted to counter, so when I bankrolled your prototype and debugged the code, was that execution or just shadow work? But I held my tongue, tilting my glass instead. Laura fidgeted, dropping her fork. No one corrected the narrative. My existence was a glitch in their perfect script. A soldier sister didn't fit the Silicon Valley ascent story. They needed Gavin as the self-made hero, so they erased the sibling who enabled it. When the applause faded, I slipped to the kitchen, stacking plates in the sink out of habit. No one thanked me. Invisibility breeds automation. As I rinsed, my mind rewound to a decade back. I'd mailed Alexander a prototype I'd engineered in an Army R&D lab, a secure encryption node now standard in DoD vehicles. Handwritten note, thought you'd geek out on this. No reply. When I followed up, Victoria sighed. Emily, focus on something practical. All this tech jargon flies over heads. So I buried it. Another dismissal filed away. Laughter drifted from the den. I leaned in the doorway, overhearing Mr. Harlan, an old family golf buddy. That gadget you gifted me last Christmas. Alex, still on my desk. Folks ask where I snagged it. Genius stuff. Alexander chuckled. Glad it stuck. One-of-a-kind find. I stepped closer. On the mantel sat my prototype, repackaged as a trinket. He'd passed it off as his own. Our eyes met. He knew I knew. Then he looked away. No words. I retreated outside, breath fogging in the chill. The house lights glowed warmly, mocking the cold inside me. Did they recall my patents? My classified ops? Or was denial easier? They craved Gavin's tidy corporate climb, not my messy military path. But tomorrow, at Apex's review, my code underpinned their bid. Uncredited, but undeniable. Upstairs in my old room, I unpacked my briefcase, reviewing specs. The patent envelope tucked inside, original filings. Mine alone. I set my alarm for dawn, whispering into the dark. If they won't remember, I'll etch it in stone. Dawn sliced through the blinds as I pulled into Apex Tech's lot in Arlington, parking in the reserved DoD spot. Full dress blues. Insignia polished. No fanfare, just duty. The guard snapped to attention. Morning, Colonel Hart. I nodded, striding in. The lobby thrummed with pre-meeting jitters. There they were, Alexander and Gavin by the elevators, suited up, debating who the Pentagon rep might be. Some desk jockey, Alexander guessed. I emerged from the stairwell. Silence crashed like a wave. Gavin blinked at my rank bars. Alexander's face twisted. Emily? What's with the getup? I checked my watch. Briefing in 15. Prep accordingly. I brushed past. Heart steady, but pulse thrumming with contained fury. The boardroom gleamed glass walls. Ergonomic chairs. A view of the Potomac. My placard, Colonel Emily Hart. DoD Cyber Liaison. I set up. Scanning slides, my encryption layer on page 4. Integral but anonymous. A secure alert buzzed, unauthorized access detected overnight from Apex IP. File, contract prelims. Motive pointed to Gavin, peeking for an edge. I flagged it for forensics. No outburst. The room filled, engineers. VPs. Contractors. They nodded warily. Alexander entered last. Avoiding my gaze, Gavin fidgeted with his tie. The CEO, Sandra Klein, arrived. Nodding respectfully. Alexander leaned in. Just observing? I met his eyes. No. Approving. I stepped out for a water break when Victoria approached. Heels echoing like accusations. Her face feigned warmth. Honey, didn't want you sidelined today. She pressed an envelope into my palm. Grab a latte. Treat yourself. Maybe hang back so Gavin stays focused. She vanished before I could respond. Alone. I opened it, a $100 bill. Drawn from petty cash embezzled kindness to buy my compliance. I pocketed it for evidence, forwarding the access flag. They weren't just erasing, they were bribing. Back in session. Gavin chuckled loudly. What's in your binder? Boot camp notes. Snickers from juniors. I flipped it open, placing a sealed Pentagon doc face-up. Gold seal glaring. Laughter died. During break. I cornered Alexander at the coffee bar. One more play like that, and it's federal. He paled. You wouldn't to family. To fraud? Absolutely. He stared. Speechless. I returned to my seat. Calm as a storm's eye. No rage. Just resolve. The placard hit like a gut punch, guest of Alexander Reed. I exhaled slowly. Sandra entered. Spotted it. Ripped it in two. With a Sharpie. She scrawled, Colonel Emily Hart. Key partner. The room inhaled collectively. She addressed everyone. Good morning. Ma'am. Honored by your presence. Utensils clattered. Typing halted. Gavin's jaw slackened. Alexander went rigid. I nodded. Launching into the brief, timeline gaps. Funding shortfalls. Oversight tweaks. 5 minutes. Precise. Whispers rippled. Thought she was his secretary. I pressed on. Noting clearance mismatches, subtle jab at their games. Gavin hovered post-brief. Why hide who you are? I leaned in. You never asked. Assumed. Lunch break chilled the air further. Eyes tracked me. Gavin presented next. His slide mirrored my framework. I raised a hand. That design traces to DoD submission. My unit. Hash confirms. I produced metadata. Handing it off. You've run my code. Credit due now. Gavin recoiled. Alexander muttered, misunderstanding. The COO verified, hers. Lock and stock. Silence suffocated. Sandra approached later. Addressed the board? I agreed. Immediate. The plaque unveiling came at dusk. Brushed steel in the executive hall. Sandra pulled the cord. Strategic innovators. My name centered. Photo from a classified awards ceremony they'd skipped. Caption. Overlooked until essential. Whispers. She's spearheaded that SHIELD protocol in Quantico. No claps, just dawning respect. Sandra offered extension. Advise us ongoing? I declined. Not for them. For boundaries. Victoria trailed me out. If you'd told us. I stopped her. You'd have dismissed it. She crumpled. Silent. An intern gawked at the plaque. That's you. Always was. Elevator doors shut on their stunned faces. 6 months on. In my Alexandria condo. Soup simmering with herbs. A knock echoed. Alexander with wine and a framed clipping of the plaque. Victoria with casserole. Gavin shaved but subdued. Dinner was tentative, compliments. Small talk. Victoria broke. We didn't know your scope. I replied, you didn't want to. Alexander presented the frame. Hangs in my office now. Should have sooner. Gavin admitted, you were light years ahead. I nodded. It was about existing. Not racing. Coffee followed. Weather chat. Running queries. They left. I locked up. Breathing deep. Mentoring a newbie later. She asked about underestimation. It quiets, I said. Justice isn't fanfare, it's reclaiming your voice. Silence wasn't weakness, it was my armor. Respect earned. Not begged. The price? A family thawed. But scars lingered. Betrayals echo faded. But never vanished.